Hey, Michael.
Hey, what's up?
Doing well. Excited. Finished off my last hot Cheeto fry. But welcome to Plain Speak, Michael. And good afternoon, everyone else. And welcome to Plain Speak, where we explore the intersection of technology and customer support with customer support and customer experience leaders. Today, I am super thrilled to welcome Michael Fulvio, the Director of Customer Experience at Snipes, a retail trendsetter with clothing and shoes inspired by hip hop, streetball, dance, and sports. Snipes has over 300 stores nationwide, as well as a robust online sales machine that Michael is responsible for crafting leading customer experiences for. Michael has a really cool trip into CX, began by transitioning from a budding acting career, waiting tables in New York, to customer success, and then ultimately landing in customer support. His innovative approach at Snipes has been instrumental in redefining how retail customer service interacts with and elevates the consumer experience, leveraging both his acting background and his customer success experiences. For anyone who's joining us for the first time, I'm your host, Liz Tai, CEO and founder of High Operator. Our mission is to revolutionize customer support, adapting dynamically to a company's evolving needs with cutting-edge tools like Highlight, High Auto, and SMS Bot. Our tools generally leverage the power of natural language processing, as well as workflow automations and generative AIs to tackle complex customer inquiries. If you have any questions, please do engage with us during the chat during this live. Your insights, questions, or comments are super helpful, and we'll try and either hit on them on the discussion today or follow up with you afterwards on LinkedIn. So with all of that preamble, let's dive into our conversation on Plain Speak today. Welcome to Michael.
Thanks.
How's your weather treating you?
Oh, it's cold and wet here in Philly. So just trying to stay warm.
Fair enough. Spring's that sort of season. So Michael, you have such an interesting journey into customer support. You transitioned from an aspiring actor with an MFA in acting to tech-savvy customer experience. And I'm sure that's been a really, really unique journey. Tell us a little bit about how your artistic background has shaped that customer experience philosophy at Snipes and how you use some of maybe the skills you picked up in acting, like improvisation, empathy, and storytelling, to building customer relationships and enhancing service delivery.
Sure. As a recovering actor, I bring a lot of that with me and my experience to Snipes. But also what is super relevant is all that time I spent waiting tables, trying to become an actor, and that microcosm of customer service, right? You're not just dealing with a customer, you're dealing with a hungry customer. Hangry customer, right? Trying to get to a Broadway show. But working as an actor, that improvisation, that thinking on your feet, right? That you need to be able to think on your feet when someone's coming at you really upset about missed expectations, right? And acting is really the study of empathy, right? How do you put yourself in someone else's shoes to understand where they're coming from and what their perspectives and challenges are, as well as storytelling, which is a core element of acting, right? So how do we tell that story to our customers through communications along the customer journey, ensuring that we're not just solving their issues, right, but resonating with them on a personal level. So it's just bringing all of this together as the culture of CX here at Snipes. We really prioritize being authentic AF, which is one of our core pillars, and bring that to the team and making sure that we're authentic with our customers as well.
Fascinating. That must be such a challenge. I mean, one-on-one, right? You can deliver that in person, but I'm excited to hear about the challenge when you try and scale that up, right? Across 300 retail locations, which is a heck of a lot, as well as that e-commerce channel. Maybe along that vein then, I mean, you went from acting and then to customer success, which is a little bit different than the higher volume support you're in now. Tell me a little bit about what you've pulled from those customer success experiences, what those experiences were, and then how you've sort of taken that and evolved that into customer support.
Sure. Working in startups and SaaS as a customer success manager and director of customer success, the focus is all about on relationship building, right? And ensuring that your customers have the tools available through your product to achieve their desired outcomes. So that means understanding your customer, doing strategic planning with them, and understanding not just how they're using your tool, but how your tool fits into their larger business. and making sure that you're swimming in the same direction as all of their other priorities. And then, the pandemic, a lot of stuff shook up. I transitioned to customer service, customer experience, and retail at Snipes has been eye-opening in that everything in retail is so interconnected all the way up the chain to allocations. How does it get to our DC? How does it get to the store? How does it get to our customer? How does the customer get it back to us? Right. So while all of these little interactions are very transactional, we want to make sure that we're understanding the customer and that they're satisfied through communication, through physical receipt of things are coming back. And the scale is just way different than customer success, right? If you're lucky, your book of business isn't more than 70 accounts, which is a lot. But here, we're dealing with 70 customers a day as individuals, if not more.
Wow.
So making sure that we're there on time to respond to those individuals with what they need and their expectations, with the goal of delivering a positive, memorable customer experience.
Yep.
So bringing that customer success background to build customer service frameworks at Snipes that fit into us being super authentic, able to meet the customer authentically and immediately where they are. And those customers come back to us with so much loyalty and brand love because we're there in their neighborhoods and they know us and we're part of their back to school, we're part of their holiday. So how do we turn all of these interactions with our company, whether they're online or social or in store, and turn that interaction into data and insights that bring back to the company to make business decisions on, right?
Yeah. That does strike me as such a different drumbeat, but with the same overall goals, right? You're still looking at customer satisfaction. You're looking at not just making them happy, but really aligning with what they're looking for, either professionally, maybe for customer success in SaaS, and maybe more personally on a retail level. But that is so interesting in that, maybe in clients, when people think traditional SaaS client success, right, you're thinking about big chunky things, right? You might have at most 70 accounts, and even that sounds like a ton of accounts, right, for client success, unless they're really small ticket. And maybe it's chunkier, right? You've got the annual renewal, and so you have the benefit of a lot of data and a lot of touch points feeding into that one sort of do or die event for renewal or upsell. And I think what you just said was in the retail environment, same incentives, but there's much more of a drumbeat, right? You just said there are, back to school, there are events, they can go have touch points in person, they can email and chat. Out of curiosity, because I know we don't talk to as many, we talk to a lot of e-commerce, online customer support folks. You have sort of the challenge of both. Do you have any sort of tips or thoughts on thinking about how you bridge that? How do you make that authentic AF experience come across in person and then bridge that as well to the online experience?
Well, it's just about making sure that we're working with our store partners. And really omni-channel is the super powered word around our office right now. And how do we make sure that everyone is talking to the customer in the same way at the same time? And it feels empowered to talk to the customer in the same way at the same time. We're lucky to have a number of different technologies that are communicating with our customer at different points of the sale and making sure that they are all respectful of the customer and understanding of their needs in that moment. If you're writing in about an issue you've had with one of your orders, maybe we don't need to be pushing some ads on you about to buy the next thing. You're unhappy with the other thing, right? So just making sure that everyone has the same view of the customer so that the customer feels like they're speaking to one company and not a bunch of different departments.
Makes sense. And like at scale, at 300 stores and thousands and probably millions of customers, it sounds like there's a lot of importance on that customer support system, right? And you just hinted at it a little bit here, but can you elaborate on the specific technologies and strategies that have been most effective at Snipes in creating this holistic 360 unified customer experience? Maybe a little bit about how these tools address customer needs, but also anticipate them, and then, how you get touch points to data to playing a role in refining and advancing your customer service goals.
Yeah, so right now we're a Salesforce shop. So one of the first things I did was set up Salesforce Service Cloud here to for a first touch point for our customers, create a web form for them to come in when they have issues with us or questions directly. And then the great thing about Salesforce is, right, that they can plug in and work with anybody. So plugging in social tools, plugging in our OMS. We have really great partners in our IT department that are helping us understand where inventory is. We have really great partners in our stores operations who are working with us on those store orders. We fulfill from stores a lot.
Oh, wow.
We a really popular in our customer base is to actually ship an order to a store that's near them, because they know that, hey, maybe I live in an apartment building and I don't always get my packages. So working with our store operations teams in that product and that department, and then as well as just buy online, pick up in store, right? How are we communicating with our customer and our internal teams about what's going on? So really taking Salesforce makes it super easy to turn all of those interactions, whether they're internal or external, partners internally or our customers, and say what caused this interaction and what might we do to fix it or to make it simpler in the future, right?
Yeah, seamless, simpler and more seamless. And that I actually did not realize, Michael, that y'all fulfilled from stores. So you're really sort of blurring and did so much shipping to stores, because you're really blurring that line between what's an in-store experience and what's an online e-commerce either purchase or support experience. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the nice thing about digital support is you sometimes buy yourself a little bit of time, right? A case comes in, you can do some research, you have a little bit of time before that customer expects a response. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on this. In person, you really don't, right? That salesperson who's dealing with that pickup order that's got to fulfill that last leg of that experience. Out of curiosity, how much insight do they have into the rest of this customer's communications when they go pick up in store?
Currently, not much. We're working on that. We're implementing some tools in store to give our store associates more of a view of that customer and who they are. But I mean, actually, these store associates.
I don't think anyone solved it.
I'm sorry?
I don't know that any companies really solved that, blended experience.
It's tough, but we've got some great partners we're working with, some different technologies to bring that in store so that our in-store associates have that view. But they also already know these people. Like we have some really loyal customers who go in there weekly, go in there often. Their grandmothers, their mothers, their families coming in to shop. We are selling hot releases of Jordans and Sambas and things like that. But really, the whole family shops at Snipes, which is pretty exciting to serve.
Yeah, that's super cool. I don't know if you have this data off the top of your head, but I am curious, do you see maybe a generational or a demographic split between your customers who are in-store versus online, or are they very much blurring the lines between both as well?
We're working to get to that data too, but I'd say from the little bit we've been able to gather, like it's not too different. Like obviously we sell some hot release shoes. If you come and check us out at 10 a.m. on certain days of the week, we're releasing some Jordans. You've got to go through line. You've got to wait. You got to hope and pray that you get through the line. But mostly other than that, like I said, it's back to school, it's holiday, it's prom. People are really shopping at Snipes for any occasion.
That is super, super cool. Yeah, because between the releases, your around the year products, your events, I don't know. I just think that's really cool. And then talking about that data, right? I think we've talked a little bit about how you take that data from really every point and feed it back into product, feed it back into distro, and really try and drive that continuous improvement loop, which is awesome. When you sort of think about your customer, right? So going in person, if they know the salesperson, that's a family store, that's a really cool touch point. When it comes to online though, are you seeing trends towards maybe more self-serve? How do you specifically drive that continuous improvement loop, the data from the product to the actual customer case? And what does that look like in practice? I know at the macro level, it's easy to be like, well, yeah, data should be here and data should be there, and we'll just connect it. But in practice, when you actually look at the data, Michael, what does that experience look like?
Yeah, our customers are really trying to self-serve. They're trying, so we're just doing what we can to make those options available to them online or through our app. so that, I'm an elder millennial. Like, I don't want to call anyone. I don't want to chat in. I will do everything I can.
Yet, Michael.
That's me. And I get maybe not everyone's like that, but from our customer interactions, we can tell that they are doing their best to try to find this information when we don't always make it the easiest from them. So how can we connect order data or product data or their payment data and connect that to cases or to self-service cases even as well, right? So it's really just a game of inches every day. What can we connect today? What partners do we have to work with internally, externally? And, all those little inches add up over scale. If we save a couple inches with each interaction over a couple hundred, a couple thousand interactions, it makes a really big difference, right?
Yeah, no, and that's such an important point. The idea that inches really compound with scale, right? I mean, I think that's obviously always true, but I think in today's world of automation, it's like really, really true, right? I mean, if you had a team, if you had no automation and just a team of agents, and you forget one little thing in your training manual, that you've got some slush there. An agent's going to raise their hand, they're going to ask a question, they're going to do what's right for the customer. But when it comes to automations, I think inches really resonates because you really have to get super, super, super granular, right? Because if you have one automation workflow that's a little bit off or two systems that don't quite connect at scale, that becomes an issue that can really spiral.
Yeah, and we see that at scale. And with automation, right, is so important because for us in retail, it changes so much from week to week. How many customers are coming in? What did we sell last week? Did we have a hot release and we had a couple extra thousand sales? And we know we got an incident rate of X%, so we know it's going to be that many more cases next week. It's really hard to scale up humans that quickly up and down, whether that's internally or externally, right? We know holiday is going to be huge, but how huge? And then sometimes we put some stuff on sale in the middle of the summer and sales skyrocket. And now we've got a customer service backlog all of a sudden, right? So making sure that we have the automations in place for when maybe those two systems don't connect in the way we expect it, or just, hey, we had a great sales week. And now 7 days later, customers are going to have, the normal amount of issues per order. But there's so many more orders. Now we've got a lot more cases as well, right?
That's true. And I think people forget, I mean, customer service volume driven by sales volume is a high quality problem at the end of the day.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a great high quality problem to have. Super cool. Okay, so we think about customer satisfaction, right? And we zoom out one teeny tiny bit. So traditionally, CSAT measurements are really done sort of at the end of an interaction, right? So once everything is said and done, we're not sending any more emails back and forth. How did the agent do? Are you happy with the experience? You've mentioned that y'all have worked on sort of implementing surveys more across stores and across different touch points. Out of curiosity, what has that looked like? And what interesting findings are you getting out of there?
So we're just at the beginning of this journey, but it's one of my priorities for this year is we've got a new survey tool that we're working with. We're a week away from getting it on site, just to have a simple NPS on site. What do you think about us, 1 through 10, and why?
Yeah.
Starting really broad so that then, as we get some kind of themes, we can start to add buttons and get some real data, right? Is it one of these 5 things? So excited to get there because like you said, with CSAT, you're just getting a small sliver of responses from people who have written in because they have an issue, which is only half as many people that have an issue, right? That's what they say, 50% of all customer service people don't write in. So we know that's a super small percentage. So we want to get some more surveys on site as part of our customer journey, right? Just, you got here, what do you think? Or post checkout, I think is going to be a really exciting one to get into. How was that experience from you? And even just all the way, if we can just hit up everyone that got a delivery, how was everything, right? Because we aren't hearing from most of our customers. And then also to get some surveys in store that will just give us some more store or region data about what's going on instead of, we do get some customer cases about, hey, I had this experience in store and I'd like to talk to someone about it. Maybe this will be a little bit more direct and really data-driven that we can bring back to our stores teams to let them know what's going on in store and what our customers are thinking there. So I'm super excited to get this larger customer image than just, hey, you wrote in with an issue. What do you think now?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a self-selected, and then selected to the people who actually fill out surveys type of measurement, right?
Right.
No, super exciting, because that's a good point. I mean, people worry about how do you maintain the same brand voice across a team of 200 customer service agents. They're all online, but over 300 stores with in different environments, different malls, different plazas, different populations, different salespeople. That must be a heck of a bear to be trying to ascertain experience across all of that. So I am curious. I'll be very curious, Michael, to circle back on what you actually discover.
Me too.
With those, in-person experience points. Cool. Because I feel like a lot of brands without that physical presence don't get the benefit of being able to learn from their customers in person as much.
Yeah, and like I said, we have a lot of omni-channel customers, so and we know it, and we've got the tools and the reporting on it now, right? So we know who's in store and who's not, and we can then personalize our customer service interactions with them to reflect that.
Exciting. It's an exciting time to be in the world of customer support. So we look forward into the future. I wonder when general AI is going to be around the corner. But from your perspective as Snipes, Michael, how do you see the role of customer really experience across the entire spectrum transforming in the next few years? Are there any cool new toys or strategies or software platforms that you are implementing or excited to keep an eye on to stay ahead of all the changes?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting AI tools out there right now making some big claims, and I think that we're closer to those claims than we are in practice actually at the moment. But I think just using that AI mostly to be immediate, to personalize what's going on, and to get a read on that customer and personalize their issue and respond to it in a personal way, while integrating to all of those touch points, is really what's the future of customer experience. It's going to be very automated. I mean, we'll still need humans to dig in and investigate, because sometimes it does take a lot of curiosity to find out exactly how we missed our customer expectations, other than I didn't get it, right? That's pretty clear.
Yep.
But at Snipes, we are heavily investing right now in this shift by investing in analytics and AI to deepen and understand our customers' behaviors and preferences, so that we can get ahead of them and be less reactionary and more actionary on their habits and actions and behaviors in store and online.
Yeah. No, it feels like there's this emphasis on maybe orchestration, right? Maybe it's not so much replacing human customer service agents, right? But it's really, how do you build that Iron Man suit? How do you augment them, and how do you orchestrate and really sort of create all the work that goes into setting up that infrastructure on the back end that your customer never really needs to think about, or maybe appreciate to some extent, if it's doing a really good job, right? And coming out the other end. That's super exciting. When you sort of think about that, you have humans, those are your frontline, they're the core, they're the soul of your customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
You've spoken a lot, Michael, that's really sort of resonated with me about just this. How do you arm the customer service agent with all of the context, right? How do you not replace them, but how do you make it so they are that super agent that can aggregate all the touch points, have a ton of the context, and be able to just really perform and meet those customer expectations? That's a you see.
Yeah, like I said, at Snipes, we're super lucky to have a very loyal customer base. So when someone writes in, I need my agents to not just understand this issue that's being written in about, but to quickly see and understand this customer's written in X amount of times with a similar problem or different problems, or I can see that they've got some in-store purchases as well as online purchases, or they're at a new store with a new experience that happened there, right? So making sure that my agents and soon store associates have that full customer picture, and not just the issue that the customer is bringing to us at that time.
Definitely. That's exciting. That's kind of really the omni-channel, I guess, data
Yeah.
dream of the future. I'm excited to see where that goes. Super excited to see where that goes with you and Ed Snipes.
Yeah.
Um, so I know we're coming to close to the end of our lunch half hour here. And every Plain Speak we like to do is our question of the week. So Michael, yours is coming from Mike McKercher, a CX expert who worked at Roku, Google, and PayPal, and is now a consultant who created CX by Us. So this was right before spring break. So Mike had the holidays and warm places on his mind. Curious, what did you do over spring break, Michael? And or what's your favorite, most recent trip?
Oh, my wife is actually an educator at a university, and she did have spring break, but worked through it because she had a lot of papers to grade. But we were lucky enough. I was lucky enough to tag along with her to a conference a couple weeks ago in LA. So to see some warm weather there. I saw some dolphins on a boat. I was on the boat, not the dolphins, but it was nice to get out there and see a friend of mine who had a baby. So that was my spring break a little early.
Nice. Nice. You got a bit of sun and warmth. That's not quite in Philly yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Super exciting. And then do you have a question for our next guest that you'd like to know, either personal or work or CX or automation related?
Yeah, I'm just really interested in CX leaders who are interested in executing and implementing automation. How are you taking care of your team members through that and letting them know they're still valued and important to this role in automation, and head off any concerns of theirs?
I love that. Yeah, it's really, I think we're at such a point where when you read the news around AI, right? There are bigger, better models every day. And then sometimes in our roles on the front lines of actually implementing that into CX, it's always interesting to see how the two meet. And yes, they're bigger, better models, but how do you use that to create wins for all of your stakeholders, right? And stakeholders very, very much do include agents because they work with the customer on a daily basis. So I'm excited to see what our next guest thinks about that. And Michael, thank you so much for joining us today over lunch. It was an absolute pleasure having you and having some of your insights and experience across both that in-store and that digital customer service experience. So everyone else, thank you for joining us as well. Please do join for our next episode of Plain Speak on Wednesday, April 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern, where we will be talking a little bit about some brand new customer service enablement tools from High Operator that leverage AI, not so much to respond directly to your customers, but to really fully understand your customer satisfaction at every interaction and to help enable your internal customer support team. You'll get an inside scoop from some of our team members that have built this product. So we are super excited. Keep your eyes open for the launch, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Michael,
Really
thank you
cool.
so much.
Make sure you check that out next week.
TBD, fingers crossed, we are ahead of our launch date. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for joining us today.